I will never pay for an Al Heyman card. $80 for that. $80 for that. You know, it's like everybody who fight on PBC is unprofessional. You got Cool Boy missing weight. He didn't even look like he came to perform. You got Tank want to fight Pitbull CRUZ again, not the guy he just had a draw with. He wants to fight the guy he's already beat again. Why we don't fight a champion at 35 or 140? Al Heyman, Tank Davis. Fans sick of it now. Thing this guy does, you know, he's a walking contradiction. You know, how you the boogeyman with this scary punch, but you scared to get in there with guys who green, guys who aren't ready. You know, Murataya, he's not ready. Andy Cruz, he's not ready. You know, Abdullah Mason, you know, tough night, but you could use experience against a guy like that. You know, he's still green. You know, he's still going in there and brawling with guys he could easily outbox. So you know the IQ ain't there. But you talking about a Pitbull CRUZ again? Like, let Pitbull move on. You know, give everybody a Mexico and Puerto Rico rivalry. Why we want to see him fight you again? Because if he fights you again on this channel, we going to be trying to boycott your stupid ass. We don't want to pay for it. You know, $80 for some bullshit. You know, Shaq Foster came in there and looked beautiful. You know, but everybody else on that card, what did anybody do? And it's just not worth it. You know, Al Heyman, PBC, all of those pay-per-views, I don't give a fuck. It was on Amazon, DAZN. It don't make sense. Especially for the quality that they're giving out. You know, they robbing fans. But the only thing about them robbing fans is, you know, they not even trying to hide it. These guys ain't trying to hide it. You know, they doing it in broad day with a smile on their face. You know, and at the end of the day, they telling us we got to like it. And then after the fight, they saying, fuck us. You know, so that's why on my channel, I'm not fucking with Al Heyman and them. It don't make sense. You know, it don't make sense financially. It don't make sense as far as entertainment go. You know, these guys is clowns in the sport. They just sucking the sport dry. And, you know, that's why I'm saying, as fans of the sport, we got to boycott these guys. You know, we got to just not buy. We got to not show up. You know, because when it affect that bottom line, you know, that's when these guys at the top is going to make a big decision. You know, Tank don't command that type of money in the sport no more. He doesn't. You know, guys like Shakur Stevenson, Haney, they deserve those numbers now because those guys are willing to put it on the line. They're willing to perform at a high level against competition that are at a high level. You know, but like I said before, all them easy paydays in the sport, you know, especially with Turkey Al-Sheikh putting so much bread into the sport. You know, he coming in with so much chicken. See what I'm saying? So it's like we don't got to buy the scraps. We can go get our own plate. You know, and it's just so sad that Tank sits back in the dark on the phone waiting for somebody downfall, you know, to unblock his account, to say something real quick, then say something real quick, then block it. It's not cute. You know, it's not bringing mysteriousness behind you like a Kanye West or a Chief Keef. You know, what that person doing? No, we seeing what you doing. You know, on a public forum and you looking like a goofball. Fans don't want guys like this in the sport. You know, fans want fighters that's more active. You know, that actually are fan friendly. You know, they don't want guys that think they bigger than the program. You know, you're not even the biggest fighter at your weight class. You know, and you trying to sell the world that you just this star. You know, you fight guys and become a star. You just don't put some weave in your motherfucking braids and then put a little bit of balm on your motherfucking lip and then now you the king of the sport. It don't work like that. You know, this sport was built off guts, blood, glory, and sweat, and all of them things ain't something that Tank interested in. You know, so that's why I said fuck Tank, fuck the PBC, and why? Because they raping these fans. You know, people, it's hard out here, people paying $80 for some bullshit. You know, and nowhere in the world is that okay. You go get some weed, you know what I'm saying, and you get some bullshit, you gonna be upset. You go get your girl something to eat, you take her out to eat, you know, she don't like it, you know, you gonna be mad. You know, but with Tank, niggas can't get mad. Why? Because he Tank, that shit don't make no sense.